And Han Kang, the 2024 Nobel Prize winner in literature, opened her acceptance speech with the following question. Can the past help the present? Can the dead save the living? I believe so. When I first heard this, I wondered, how can the dead possibly help the living? But after reading her novel Human Acts and witnessing South Korea's recent martial law crisis and the courageous responses of its citizens, I now understand the past does help the present, the dead can save the living. In this video, I will share my reflections on one of Han Kang's most powerful works, Human Acts. This is a Korean language edition, Human Acts, 소년이 온다. And in English, title will be Human Acts. Do you seek out books by Nobel Prize winners? I mean, I don't read every laureate's work, but I'm always drawn to books that carry deep and profound meaning. When Han Kang's win was announced last year, I didn't hesitate. I immediately bought 5 of her books. And if you're curious, check out my previous unboxing video. And so books serve different purposes. Some books entertaining and some educate. And then there are books that stay with you long after you've closed the final page. I mean, lingering in your mind and leaving you with the questions that won't let go. And Human Acts is one of those books. Its characters still live within me. And I would like to share the background of this book, Human Act. It is called the Gwangju Uprising. This Human Act delves into one of South Korea's recent darkest period, 1980, Gwangju Uprising. Gwangju is one of the city name in South Korea. This was a real event where students and citizens protested for democracy and faced severe military force. So the background is like that. I mean, by timeline, I will share the background. So a year before, 1979, the president Park Chung-hee was assassinated. And then same year, December 12th, 1979, the military general Chun Do-won led a military coup, like a coup d'etat, and then seized the control. So the following year, 1980, Chun Do-won expanded the martial law nationwide and closing universities and then banning any political activities. And then the following day, May 18th, May 27th, 1980, in a city, Gwangju, peaceful protests escalated into violent clash. And then the military forces enter into the Gwangju city. They persecute in a way. I mean, they killed and tortured so many ordinary citizens in the Gwangju city. So that is the Gwangju Uprising. So estimates suggest 100, possibly thousands were killed. And during this time, strict media censorship meant South Koreans were unaware of the event in Gwangju as they occurred. I was 8 years old at that time. We have not aware of this happening in Gwangju city. And because all the media, TV, and then the newspapers were censored so that they did not share the truth, what's happening in Gwangju, and they all shared or twisted the stories favor to the people who are in the power. So this novel, Human Acts, does not just recount this history, immerse you in it and making you experience the pain and fear and the resilience of ordinary people. So now I'd like to share the structure of this book, Human Acts. So Han Kang, the author, uses multiple perspectives, placing you inside in the minds of victims and survivors and even the dead. So for example, in the first chapter, you become a young boy searching for his missing friend, gymnasium. And this gymnasium is filled with the dead bodies. So families come and then pull back the white cloth covers the dead body, searching for their missing family members. I mean, imagine how family feeling, what kind of pain they go through, right? And then almost the feeling I can smell the decay. I mean, it's hard to imagine the pain the families come and searching for dead bodies of their missing family. What kind of pain? I can't even imagine the pain. So that is the first chapter. For example, the second chapter is now you embody the soul of a dead body that hovering over his lifeless body. I mean, still bounded by pain. And in this chapter, I feel the weight of other dead bodies on top of me because the dead bodies or the stacked up the layer by layer in an open field. So that the second chapter in this book, you become one of the soil of a dead body, and then explaining the pain, then explain what kind of thoughts, reflections, and emotions of this soul of dead body going through. So the feeling and experience and the pains are raw and then real. And this narrative approach force you to feel and experience their suffering, pain, and emotions. Descriptions are so vivid and intense, and I felt myself struggling to breathe and my chest tightening with every word. So this book demands you not just read about pain, but you feel it. And because the pain was so intense, when I read a book, so I could not really read in one setting this whole big book. It takes more than a month actually to finish this book. So I pick up the book and read a few pages, and then I have to put the book down because it's so hard to process the pain. And then a few days later, I pick up again and then I'll continue read. And then whenever when I read a new chapter, I need to figure it out. Who am I? Who am I now? Like another victim, the life story, and I go through the emotions and pains they went through. Okay, so now I would like to share what kind of questions always come to in my mind when I read a book, like a hunting question, is one word, why? So throughout the book, one question echoed in my mind again and again. Why did soldiers follow orders to kill without hesitation? They are so good at it, almost feel like maybe they're enjoying it, to torturing others and kill others. I don't know what do they thought about it. And then why the people who in power sacrifice innocent lives for their own fame and then power. And this terrifying truth, I can think, is in a certain condition like this condition or in the war, like ordinary people as a group, they commit unthinkable, violent, horrific acts. So how it could happen, right? How it's possible if we are all individual and if we is not in a war or not in this kind of a special environment, people will not do those kind of evil actions, torturing and then kill others. But in certain situation, war or this kind of uprising, they do that. So that's another question, why and how we can prevent that happening again. The next I would like to share that about when history echoes in the present. So while I was reading Human Acts, it was last year, November and then December, history felt like it was repeating itself. So on December 3rd, 2024, South Korea faced a shocking moment when martial law was declared again to bring back a memory of 1980. On December 3rd, 2024, and approximately around 10:30 p.m., South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law, during a televised address. So he cited threats from anti-state forces. He always says that, anti-state forces, and accused the opposition of attempting to paralyze the government. That's how he thinks. So this marked the first martial law declaration in South Korea since 1980. And it was an attempt to erase 45 years of hard work and sacrifice made by people to build and protect democracy. And thousands of people rushed to the National Assembly, blocking soldiers and helped lawmakers to enter the National Assembly building and protected the democracy. They literally risked their lives. Based on the story in 1980, people who stood up and spoke out, they were killed or tortured. So people who rushed into National Assembly building that night, December 3rd, last year, 2024, they literally risked their lives. They must have felt so much fear, but they bring up their courage to run, to protect South Korea. So I really deeply owe them the gratitude. So in terms of Thailand, what happened was, so many people rushed into National Assembly building and then protected democracy. And in response, the National Assembly convened in an emergency session, and despite military efforts to block the session, lawmakers managed to gather by scaling walls and bypassing the security. 2.5 hours later, 1 a.m., December 4th, with 190 members remembered present, and the assembly voted unanimously to reverse the martial law declaration. Following the parliamentary vote, President Yoon announced he would lift the martial law, and by 4:30 a.m., after an emergency cabinet meeting, martial law was officially terminated. I mean, it's like so swift, like lightning speed, a series of events happened, and it was about spanning approximately 6 hours. I mean, so it really showcased the resilience of South Korea's democratic institutions and determination of lawmakers to uphold the constitutional order. So it was the first martial law since 1980, and by this time, something was different. We remembered what happened in 1980, and then we remembered the lessons we learned from the past. So even the soldiers hesitated, questioning their orders. So definitely the past had to save the present. So today marks actually the final court hearing for President who declared the martial law, and it is almost certain that he will be sentenced as a traitor. I mean, rightfully so. Reminder, democracy isn't guaranteed. It's protected by those who remember. And Han Kang's Nobel message, right, in her Peace Prize acceptance speech, Han Kang shared a powerful message. The past can help the present. The dead can help and survive within the living. So this simple yet profound idea lies at the heart of the novel Human Acts. And this novel isn't just about grief or pain of the past. It's about responsibility and the lessons we learn from the pains of the people who went through. And it's our responsibility to remember those who suffer, to reflect on the mistakes of history, and to act to prevent them from happening again. And when we ask why and how, right, why tragedies like Gwangju Uprising happen, we refuse to let those stories be forgotten or repeated. So we honor the people who lost their lives by ensuring that such a tragedy will never happen again, and by standing firm against injustice. So the Human Acts teaches us that dead don't truly disappear if we carry their stories forward, and their courage, pain, and hope live on in us, guiding how we move through the world. So some books entertain, some books educate, but Human Acts, it forces you to remember the pain of history, to carry it so it's never repeated. So have you ever read a book that make you stop, think, and question everything? And please share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this reflection, please like and subscribe for more videos on meaningful books. So until next time, keep reading, reflecting, and growing. And thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.